While we are rightly focusing much of our nation's energy on coronavirus, this is not the only health crisis we are battling. Unfortunately, across the nation, drug overdose deaths are rising among the coronavirus, negating much of the progress that we made over the last several years.
Dear Brian.
Dear Greg.
Michael Honey.
From the moment you were born, you were the sweetest kid.
You brought us such joy and happiness. Thank you for those 29 years.
We have a vision that our society will look this disease straight in the eye, prevent it and treat it with love and empathy, and with protocols based on science. We are coming together to increase awareness and funding for the prevention, treatment, and recovery of this disease.
I'm repelling from my son, Paul.
I'm repelling from my dad.
I'm repelling from my sister-in-law.
That was awesome!
Go Shatterproof!
Go Shatterproof!
We are here for friends. We are here for family. We are here for community. And we are here to bring the disease of addiction out of the darkness and into the light.
We are Shatterproof!
My older son, Brian, struggled with addiction for 8 years. And during that time, he went to 8 different treatment programs.
Shatterproof is currently developing public databases in multiple states that, if successful, will allow the public to identify, evaluate, and compare substance use treatment programs.
I would like to extend my appreciation to President Bill Clinton, Chelsea Clinton, and their Health Matters initiative.
I'm very grateful to be here today at a critical time to talk about why we must tackle this issue and what Congress must do to tackle this issue.
We need to start treating people in this country, not jailing them. We need to give them the tools they need to recover, because every life is precious. Every life is an individual gift from God. And we have to stop judging and start giving them the tools they need to get better.
I don't think about this issue as a public official or as a healthcare guy. I think about it as a father. I've talked to people who've been in the middle of this, and they're among the grittiest and gutsiest people I've ever met. And they deserve our respect and our love and our support.
Let's create that world that Brian didn't see. Let's create that world for the next young man that comes along, the next young woman that comes along, the next family. Let's drag addiction out of the shadows and into our hearts. I can't imagine a more perfect expression of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone from around the country who have joined us this evening as we kick off our Shatterproof Rise Up Against Addiction Virtual 5K. My name is Rosie Chung, and I'm going to be your host this evening. So feel free to share in a chat where you're from, if you're participating on a team, and why you are rising up against addiction. And while you're at it, make sure you click subscribe on our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on future videos and content. So, wow, what a year. No one ever imagined we would spend 2020, the start of a new decade in isolation and physically distanced. At Shatterproof, we typically would have had 7 in-person 5K events in various cities across the country, but sadly, we had to cancel those until it is safe for us to gather again. But we know how important it is that we continue to make sure we are addressing the other largest public health crisis in this country, addiction. And as overdoses hit the highest numbers ever, it is more important now than ever that we help those in need to get to quality treatment, that we change the policies so there is better access to evidence-based treatment, and that we break down harmful stigma and negative attitudes and behaviors to those impacted by this disease. And so we have all come together tonight and this weekend to rise up against addiction. I am thrilled to share that we have participants from every state in our nation, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, London, England, and even Nigeria. I am also excited to share that as of right now, we have raised $257,064. Those funds will go directly to Shatterproof's work around transforming addiction treatment, ending addiction stigma, and educating and empowering our communities. At this time, I am honored to introduce the man behind the work of Shatterproof. Gary Mendel, founder and CEO, experienced firsthand how the disease of addiction shatters families. After going through unspeakable tragedy, Gary founded Shatterproof. Ladies and gentlemen, walkers and runners, please welcome Gary Mendel.
Okay, great. Rosie, thank you. And thank all of you for joining us here today for the kickoff event of the events we're going to partake in on Saturday, all of us. So thank you. As many of you know, I lost my son, Brian, to this disease. And after his death, struggling to make sense of what had happened, I really had one question I had to answer. What could be done to spare other families of the disease my family had suffered? And to try to answer this, I traveled the country for 3 months. And as I did so, one fact really emerged among all the others: that our federal government had funded tens of billions of dollars of research. And researchers who had received that funding had used that money really well and created this wonderful body of knowledge. Knowledge that, if implemented, would significantly reduce the number of our loved ones who ever use drugs and become addicted. Also knowledge that had proven within randomly controlled trials, without any doubt, protocols that, if used in treatment, would provide outcomes and success rates for those being treated equal to success rates of those being treated for diabetes, for heart disease, for asthma. And also knowledge on how to reduce the shame and stigma for this disease. Yet all this information I learned was sitting in peer-reviewed medical journals, and hardly any of it was being used. As a father, reading about information that could have saved my son's life and millions of others just like him existed but not being used destroyed me. But coming from a background in business, I saw hope. All we needed to do was to take this information and start to get it implemented, because we had it. And from this, a vision emerged of uniting millions of Americans within one organization and empowering them to create change. And from that vision, our organization, Shatterproof, was formed 8 years ago. There's no question, I miss my son every day. However, in many respects, I feel blessed. I've had the opportunity to meet so many wonderful people
all across the country, people like yourselves who joined with us. And together, all of us combined together, we have created that movement that we envisioned. And together, we are creating change. Together, we are making a real difference. Our programs in 3 areas are not only saving lives today, they're changing the way that this disease will be prevented and treated for generations to come. And our work falls in 3 areas. Number 1, we're leading efforts in this nation to transform the way that addiction is treated. We documented and published and have gained broad industry acceptance on the first national standard of care for the treatment of addiction. We then launched, the first time in our nation's history, a quality measurement system for the treatment of addiction, which will allow families who are looking for treatment to go to our website and see which treatment programs are following the national standard of care and which ones aren't, and also provide this information to a treatment program so they can learn from each other, to states so they can use it for technical assistance and policies. We're also working around the country to change the way that addiction treatment is paid for more efficient payment models, to give treatment programs the resources they need in the way that they need it to deliver the best care. And we're also working nationally to ensure that medical professionals are trained in the basic information that most medical professionals have for physical diseases on the prevention and treatment of addiction. And all this is working. Our quality measurement system launched in 6 states last summer, and this year we're expanding to 10 states, possibly 11. On the trend we're going, we'll have more than 50% of Americans have access to our quality measurement system by early next year. Which brings me to our next bucket of work: stigma, shame. About half of Americans still think that those with this disease have poor character, poor upbringing. I remember the last time my son came home for a visit. We were sitting on the back porch talking, and he looked at me and he said, "Dad, I wish that someday people would realize I'm not a bad person. I'm a good person, and I have a difficult disease. And Dad, I am trying my absolute hardest." Well, our work in stigma is really starting to take shape. We spent all of 2019 studying 11 other social movements that have changed the way the country thinks about a particular issue. And from that, we have built a program based on research to do so for the stigma of addiction. Our first big campaign is in the state of Pennsylvania, a year-long campaign using evidence-based content to change the way that people think about a disease. And we just did a 6-month check. We surveyed 1,000 people in the state compared to 1,000 people surveyed 6 months earlier, and it's absolutely working. We are changing the way that people think about this disease in the state of Pennsylvania, and we're going to publish those results, and we're going to spread it across the country. And you know what? All of you here right now, all of you participating in all 50 states and other countries on Saturday are going to be doing the same thing. You're going to be changing the way that people think about this disease. And our last pillar of work relates to giving families the information they need when they're raising their families, or if someone in their family later on has an issue with addiction. And we have worked for 2 years with hundreds of thousands of funding from other from national healthcare organizations, Optum, GE, and Highmark, and developed the most highly curated educational modules that exist in our country today, spreading across major corporations to give it out to their employees. So for that, I just honor all of you, because you are with us. You are making this happen. We at Shatterproof can't do, there's only 30 of us. We can't do this on our own. We're doing it through the power of uniting Americans within our organization, and together we're doing this. And on Saturday, we're going to be sending a message. We're going to be sending the message that we are walking and running to remember our dear loved ones who we've lost. We're also going to be sending a message that we're walking and running for those, to support those still struggling with this disease, to let them know how much we love them and support them. We're also going to be sending the message that we're walking and running to celebrate those in recovery and how much we love them. And we're also sending a message that we are walking and running, that together we are stronger than addiction. Together, we are shatterproof. So thank you so much for joining us. I would now like to share a short video to honor those that we have lost and to send the message, we remember you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. And thank you to all who have shared stories about their loved one. So many beautiful lives have been lost to this disease. Together, we're going to change this for the future. Now, I would like to introduce Shatterproof Junior Board Member and Ambassador Vanessa Scheimer from Shelton, Connecticut. Vanessa is with Team James in memory of her brother, who she and her family lost to this disease in August of 2019.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be a part of tonight. Only thing is, I hope next year that we can be all together. So in preparing for tonight, I asked myself the question of, why do I rise up? The simple answer to that is that I rise up for the memory of my brother, James. My brother was so much more than this disease. He was my best friend. In fact, we even shared a birthday, but 3 years apart. It was our special bond, and it won't ever be broken, even though he is not here. He was incredibly funny, loving, and charismatic. He would often be sure to check on our family or his friends before taking care of himself. He knew that this disease was a battle, and that's what he did. Now, without him, I hope to continue the battle in hopes for a better future. Like all of us here tonight and across the country, we have decided that this is our stand. We rise up to end the stigma, we rise up to support those who cannot, and we rise up for the future. But I think it's important to note that we also need to rise up against addiction for ourselves. In the past month and a half of fundraising and reaching out in the community, I've seen how inspirational our work can be. At a time in my grief, it was easy for me to feel like my brother was just another statistic and I was just another sibling that lost her person to an accidental overdose. It's so much more than that. I now know that I'm not alone, and this is okay to be talked about, as we are conditioned, and I was once conditioned, to sweep this under the rug. In the past, when I have talked about substance use disorders or discussed my brother openly, it was easy enough to read the room. There were eye rolls, suggestions full of judgment, and harsh language when talked about this disease. It was then and over the many years of James's battle that I learned that this stigma is just as deadly. Where I once walked on eggshells, I am now able to stomp out my fear. We cannot sidestep the shame and intolerance. We must move the conversation in the right direction. We can become the difference makers, and we can become the change. If I can do anything tonight, it would be encourage you to know that you and your story do matter. Tonight, I'm pledging to stand up against substance use disorders and to use that momentum to propel our cause forward. It's so fitting that we'll be participating in the Shatterproof 5K. Many of us have been running away from this issue our whole lives. I know that I have. Running away from the pain and the fear. But this is where it stops. Now we can run for ourselves, our friends, and family towards the finish line. It will be difficult, and honestly, with me running, it's bound to be painful, but I am encouraged to take this journey one step at a time, one day at a time. For me, for James, for all of you, and your loved ones that we have lost, and for those who are still fighting at this moment. Thank you.
Vanessa, thank you so much for your amazing words and for sharing your strength. And I loved what you said about us making a difference. And I also want to take a moment to thank our sponsors who are also helping us make a difference. I hope you can join me in thanking our champion sponsors, ICG Advisors, Pear Therapeutics, and Pacira Biosciences. Our signature sponsors, JP Morgan Chase & Company, Axial Healthcare, and Almed Health Management. Our leading sponsors, Revolver Cat Partners, Johnny Carson Foundation and Maltese Capital Management, and our rising sponsors, Gelson's Market, AMI Asset Management, Rimrock Capital Management, Weintraub Family Foundation, and RBC Clearing and Custody. Shatterproof exists today because of people like you who are helping to raise valuable funds and important awareness. When you use your voice and tell your story, it changes attitudes. It helps others think differently, and it may help someone feel like they are not alone. For far too long, shame has cast a dark cloud over this disease. And your support, your voices are shining a light on our daughters, sons, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, cousins, parents, grandparents, coworkers, neighbors, and friends who may be struggling with this disease. You're giving hope. At Shatterproof, we believe recovery is possible for everyone. Dan Strumka has joined us today to share his story. Dan is in recovery and is coming up on his 3-year anniversary. He became involved with Shatterproof through our Rise Up Against Addiction 5K series and is also a Shatterproof ambassador. Dan joins us today to share his strength. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you so much, Rosie. And thank you, Gary, and everyone at Shatterproof for asking me to do this. It truly means a lot. I should have emailed to go after Vanessa. She was incredible. So like Rosie mentioned, I'm coming up on 3 years of sobriety. May 24th, 2018 was my last drink. And, you know, that number, I think it'll always seem a bit crazy to me because, you know, when I started this out, the word forever never came into play. I knew it was a problem. I didn't think I had to do anything more than stop, kind of fix some things and straighten out my life for a few months. And then I can go back to resuming my life as normal. But it was pointed out to me pretty quickly by my therapist and a counselor in the recovery program I was in that, you know, people who walk through that front door to get treatment generally don't go back to that kind of lifestyle. So like I said, I was in recovery here at Positive Sobriety here in Chicago, Illinois, and it was a life-changing experience for me. You know, the first 60 days, 30 days were quite overwhelming, and I actually ended up having a relapse while I was in treatment. And while that could be a backbreaking moment for a lot of people, it was what pushed me into the path to truly realize how powerful this had taken a hold of me. I realized my parents had financially helped me out to get into this treatment program, and I jeopardized that. And it wasn't me. And, you know, after that relapse and treatment, I kind of just handed the wheel over to the therapists and the counselors and the great people over there and just said, tell me what to do. And I put every measurement in place that just wouldn't allow me to have that drink for the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months. And it just got easier, and it didn't become a thing where I was plotting to try and see where my next drink would come. I finally just decided this is something I absolutely need and want to do. And not only just was it the abstinence, but it taught you and it taught me how to talk to people openly and not be ashamed of what I had gone through and what was going through me. And, you know, I am now to this day, for that first year or so, whenever someone offered me a drink and I had to say no, I would make some sort of joke, some sort of self-deprecating joke, because I was very uncomfortable saying no, just no, I don't drink anymore. And, you know, that treatment program, and I still see the therapist privately that was my therapist in that treatment program. I can't stress the importance of getting that mental health portion of it fixed, because that is the underlying cause of why we do as addicts what we do. And it's changed the way that I feel about myself. It's changed the way that me and my family talk to each other. It's changed the way I talk to my friends. And I think that's really irreplaceable. And if I can stress anything to newcomers, it's if you're early in recovery, and I can't even fathom how hard it must have been for someone newly in sobriety to go through this last year in a pandemic in isolation and not be able to be around people and the ones you love. So, that number, that globalization of saying that this is the rest of my life can be very overwhelming at the beginning. And, I think you look behind me and see the one day at a time. It can be very cliche, but if you only think about it like that, as time goes on, it truly just gets easier each and every day. So, like I said, it's changed the way how I feel about myself. I've reprioritized my life, what's important to me. I started doing stand-up comedy recently, which has just been a lifelong passion of mine that I don't even think I realized until I had the clarity of the last couple of years. So thank you everyone at Shatterproof for allowing me to speak, for doing what you're doing. It's such important work. And I have the COVID vaccine tomorrow, and hopefully the side effects are minimal, so I can, not get beat by my 2-year-old niece when we cross the finish line for the Shatterproof 5K. So thank you so much, and appreciate everyone who donated to the cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan, for inspiring us all with your hopeful story. And I appreciated you pointing out your daily visual reminder, one day at a time and one step at a time. It's time that we acknowledge our leaderboard of fundraisers. Do keep in mind that there is still time to fundraise, which means you can still make it on this leaderboard. I'd like to give a big shout out to our top 5 teams: Team ICG Advisors, Team Flywheel Data, Tommy's team, Team Shatterproof Junior Board, and Team Maddie Loud. And our top 5 individual fundraisers are Flywheel Data, Jeff Asaf, Kathleen, Dina Luden, and Vanessa Scheimer. Way to go. I hope everybody can join me in clapping for these individuals. So a quick reminder that you can also earn some pretty cool incentives when you reach certain milestones as an individual. The deadline for earning incentives is April 30th, so keep fundraising. Raise $150 as an individual and receive a virtual 5K Dry Fit t-shirt or Shatterproof socks. Raise $1,000 as an individual and receive either a Shatterproof hoodie or a 14-ounce Community Champion Yeti mug, and raise $5,000 as an individual and receive a Shatterproof Herschel backpack. Now for the winners of our Teams Week. The corporate team winner of Recruitment Week is Team Pacira Biosciences, and the friends and family team winner of Recruitment Week is SAP America. The corporate team winner of Fundraising Week is Team ICG Advisors, and the friends and family team winner of Fundraising Week is Team Walking with Uncle Mike. Congratulations to all teams, and thank you all for your incredible hard work. So we have come together tonight to get you motivated and excited about Saturday. Because this is virtual, you get to pick the time, the place, and the way you're going to complete your 5K this Saturday. It's a 5K your way. Don't forget to print out your bib and post and tag us on social during event day and use the hashtag Shatterproof5K. We'll be retweeting and resharing all day. In addition to posting on your social media channels, we will be collecting images and we'll create a recap video of all of you making a huge difference in this country. The link to upload is on shatterproof5k.org and will also be emailed to you. We ask that you have all your photos submitted by Monday, April 19th. And again, submit all your photos by Monday, April 19th. Thank you everyone for joining tonight. As we conclude this evening, we'd like to end with some inspiring words from your fellow participants about why they rise up. Have a great night, and we'll see you on Saturday. Don't forget to tag us and use hashtag Shatterproof5K.
I rise up for my brother who passed in 2018, as well as my friends and family who have passed or are still struggling. I walk with you, I stand with you, I'm here for you. I love you.
I rise up because I have 10 years sober. I rise up to speak for those and advocate for those who have no voice. I rise up for those who have lost their fight. We can recover.
I'm here today to share my story and say that anything is possible if you follow your dreams. I come from an extremely dysfunctional, addictive family background, and today I am fighting the generational curses with my daughter as we walk through Shatterproof together.
My name is Colleen, and I rise up with Shatterproof in honor of my son Tommy and Team Tommy so that we may educate, bring awareness, and end the stigma of substance use disorder.
In memory of our son Chase, we rise to console, educate, and help those who suffer from addiction and their families. We will not allow our son's last moments define who he was. Please rise against the stigma attached to addiction.
I'm Kim Fields, and I'm going to rise up in honor of my son Wesley, who I lost almost 4 years ago. He leaves a legacy of trying to help others beat addiction and fight the stigma of it. So I'm trying to make him proud of me. This one's for you, Wesley.